What up, y'all? Hello, everybody. Oh, Jason.
Seriously?
Wow.
Go to live chat.
There ain't nobody in here yet, Jason. Have you noticed that a lot of our people that are watching our stuff? Hey, look who that is.
Well, hello.
Hello there. Hey, Kim. Mark.
How is everybody doing?
Would that be Mr. or Mrs. Roots and Refuge?
Ooh. Mrs.
Probably.
Yeah. What?
Can I let Agatha in because she wants to know if you guys are okay?
Yes, let her in. Come here. Come here. Come here. Relax. Relax.
So we're just gonna kind of. It's Jess. It's Jess. It's Jess. Jess, we're so glad to see you.
Give me a hug.
And Kim, I don't know if you have yet, but I need you to send me your email address. Cause I gotta.
Say hi, Aunt Jess. I'm not.
I'm not a puppy anymore.
Was that necessary? And I still don't know the meaning of personal space.
You know, I just realized it looks like we put the camera in timeout.
We did.
Somebody put baby in the corner. Oh, good gravy. You are just silly. You're just being silly. Come here.
Make up my mind.
I know. Where's your mom, baby?
She's so beautiful, Jess says. She has her moments.
Jess said, you're beautiful. You are beautiful. I haven't caught y'all live in forever. I just picked up my phone and your video was playing. Yeah, nose in the corner. That's it. That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
It looks
All
like.
right, come on. Ow. Hey,
No, now she wants to go. Go ahead. She just wanted to check and make sure we're okay. That's it. That's how that goes.
That dog is 90 miles an hour to nothing all day long.
Yeah, I'm guessing that email was a flop that was sent out today. No, so what happened is I'm creating an email group that's just for our members, our channel members. And I was setting it up in Hotmail, and I guess I was thinking it was in groups, but it was actually in contacts. And so it created this group for me and then like sent out an email to everybody, hey, you're a member of this group. And that was not my intention. So yeah, but the email I will be sending out. We have the newsletter is just about ready to go out. So I was going to drop it in the morning tomorrow. So hence the Kim, send me your email. Thank you, Kim. I don't have my phone right now. Ladessa's using it to milk a cow. Well, not
No, she better
to milk a cow. But she's using it.
I think she's done. I think
Is
she's
she?
back in
Maybe.
there.
So
She gets that thing done faster.
she's really fast hand milking. I guess pretty crazy. So how does that go? I'm glad to see you're feeling a little better.
It's the drugs.
Well, let's be honest, though. Even with the drugs, 2 days ago, you were. She said, "I was about to say I need that app." I know, right?
What?
I said that she was using the phone to milk the cow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. But let's be honest. A day or so ago, even with the medication, you were still not very comfortable. So at least now I know that the steroids are starting to work. So
I hope so. I only got one more day left of them.
yeah.
So anyway, enough of that junk. So I want to, 5 minutes is long enough. The reason why we weren't able to go live yesterday is, look, we serve an amazing God, um, who is never out of the blessing business.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a little bit hard or difficult, maybe, to just wrap my little human brain around how much he loves us, and how much, even though we may not even be expressing this desire or this want, he knows it, and in his perfect timing, boy, does he feel it. And this year, every year, Ladessa and I do our best to go goose hunting. Oh, that girl was real little. It was
Something
about
about geese.
About geese. She hooked onto it. Well, this year we didn't get to go. We had a lot of different things going on. I had a lot of doctor's appointments and junk going on, and we the season's still going, but now during this late part of the season, we never see them over here by us. And then they were really kind of in short supply around here and during the spot when Dessa and I usually go. And we not only just love to goose hunt, but we love the meat. We love goose. It's to us, Canadian geese is really, really, really good. Well, yesterday, a guy from our church, he owns this little quick mart. I call it a choke and puke little gas station.
It's a little country store and gas station.
Yeah. And he's right there by the lake, both sides, South Carolina, Georgia. And a lot of folks, they come, they see him because he makes sure, especially during deer season, he's open bright and early for folks to be able to get their coffee, biscuit, whatever.
I mean, we're talking like 5 o'clock in the morning. He's open. He's ready to go.
And so they frequent his spot. He is one of the probably few remaining little mom and pop type stores around, and he's very respected. Well, he called me and said, "Hey, I got they got two guys here. They were on a conservation hunt, and they got a truckload of geese, and their freezers are full, and do you want them?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, we'll take them." And he's like, "All right, give me your address." I said, "Well, we'll just come to them." And so we loaded up as family, and we got blessed with 11 Canadian geese and five ducks, right? 5 ducks. And it was an awesome blessing. So all day yesterday afternoon, we were cleaning.
No. We were trying to clean. This is where it's hilarious to me. This is where being a homesteader ends up crippling you. When you're trained, hold on, I'm going somewhere with this. When you're trained to pluck, like dunk, pluck, eviscerate a bird, you get all that stuff out. You're ready to go. You've got your dunker, you got your plucker, you got all your equipment out, ready to go. And so Jason and Ladessa were going to pluck the geese, get them done, and eviscerate and have them all done. Oh, well.
The geese were bigger than the pot.
And we could never get the water up warm enough, long enough to dunk the geese in.
It didn't matter because these are some big geese, y'all.
They're huge. The breasts are like They're massive.
And see, and you just again can't. God,
So
God is amazing. But I mean, when I tell you that Dessa and I were out there and we got the pot up to the temperature that you would normally do a chicken, but for a bigger bird like the goose, everywhere that we read, they especially the little wild geese, they wanted it higher. And we got it close, but the problem was half the bird was sticking out the pot, so we could never really get it. So we hand plucked one, and then we quickly realized that was just an extremely bad idea, and so then we were going to skin them, and then that slowly became kind of another bad idea. And then Robin was on the internet, and she found a YouTube channel where it was a hunting YouTube channel, and the guy said, "Look, out of a Canadian geese, you're only going to be able to get the breasts and the legs, and this is how you do it." And he showed a real cool, cheap way to do it, and so we did it, and then boom, 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 the geese were done.
Some of it, the beginning parts, right? You started to do it, but when I tell you that it was like 10 o'clock last night before we got everything finished, at that point we were exhausted. So I am going to do a vlog about it, but all of you that decided to show up and come tonight get the behind the scenes story of it. But basically what was going on is, like, we started out like they were outside, but the weather was awful, and so they were trying to do it inside. Inside the shop.
We were in the shop, and I had that big wood burning stove in the shop, and I had the GoPro on this new tripod that Robin got from Bin Time, and I know that I haven't looked at it, but I know that there's probably a look on my face that probably says it all when we put the bird in there. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do?
I like what Jess said. When Jeremiah does frustrating tasks, I can't video it because it isn't G-rated once it gets frustrated. You know, we really didn't lose our cool on that. What happened is that we were racing time. And we got these geese early afternoon. And so we were getting to a point where we were going to lose meat if we didn't start getting this stuff done. And really what ended up happening that made me even look, it's not that I didn't think that it was a good idea to skin these things. What was happening is I was looking at the size of these carcasses of these birds. And I had bought ice on the way home because Carol and I were out door dashing. And we came back and we had picked up 2 16-pound bags of ice in our big cooler that we normally put, however many birds in. And I had gotten, because Carol's really efficient at skinning, so she had started skinning them, and she was doing a very good job of it. And I had gotten like 3 or 4 carcasses in there. And I was like, we need to rethink this because there's no way I'm fitting 11 of these in here like this. And I started taking a look at the actual, if you've ever done a Canadian goose, the rib cage, like all of the rest of the bird, there really isn't much to it. So I was looking at it because I remember on the way home, Carol and I were looking, she was looking up a video to make sure she knew exactly what she was doing when we got to the house, and so that she could help Ladessa. And I remember seeing pretty much the same, it wasn't the exact same video, but it was the same process where they come up through the breastplate, they pull that skin back, and they just start with the feathers still on and get the pieces that they need, and then the rest of the bird goes, and so that's what we ended up doing. We went ahead and started, cutting all the breasts out, popping the legs, doing the legs. So we ended up with 22 goose breasts and 22 quarters of geese legs. So the next part of this is going to be cooking them, because it is a wild goose And one of the things I was reading, because I don't like to just try to cook something, because if I try to cook it and I'm not cooking it right and we eat it and it's not good, it ruins it for everybody. So I try to do my due diligence before when we tried liver back in 2020, I tried really hard to find out how you get that taste out. And we tried buttermilk. I mean, we did everything we could, and it just wasn't, it wasn't good. So I'm trying to do the same kind of research to make sure that.
Well, you baked the one that's.
I have not cooked a goose before.
That must have been me and Dessa.
Yeah, I have not cooked a goose. So what I have read, and if any of y'all know, let me know. But what I've read so far is that the thing with Canadian geese is because you don't know how old they are. You could have shot one. They have geese that have been on record as being as old as 20, 30 years old. So you could have shot a 20-year-old goose, or you could have shot a 2-year-old goose. You don't know. And there was a way to be able to tell with the feathers, but of course we got rid of all of that, so didn't really figure that out. However, I have read on several different places that soaking them in milk can help make them a little bit tender. And then one of the other things was making sure that I think you have to salt the breast and let it rest and sit before you cook it.
I think, now I'm not knocking all the research that you've done. I think it's really cool to do that. But I think you're forgetting one basic fundamental when it comes to not being sure about cooking something. There's one simple.
There's a joke coming here. In case you didn't get the wind up.
There's just one. There's one simple remedy. You just wrap it in bacon.
Wrap it in bacon. I know. I mean, I get that. I get that. But the thing that I was concerned about was the tender.
One more time. This is how we do it. This is how hear me out. This is how we do it. We take the liver. We wrap it in bacon. You cook it. You take the bacon off the liver. You throw the liver away, and then
I don't even want that, because I'm afraid that the liver taste will go into the bacon.
Nah, so, you can't ruin bacon.
But challenge accepted. I'm telling you, you can ruin bacon.
Nah.
Been there. Tim Hortons brine. You could always grind the meat. So there was a couple of different things. One of the concerns, it wasn't as much about the flavor. It wasn't as much about the flavor as it was about the tenderness. And that is one thing that I read a lot about, is a lot of people will take goose and turn it into jerky because you're not worried about the chewiness there. So there are a lot of people that will grind it up, turn it into jerky, or they'll they'll slice it. One thing I did see that was very consistent everywhere I read was you don't cut it in big pieces. You cut it in thin, once you cook the goose breast, you want to cut it in fairly thin pieces, because the thicker it is, the chewier it will be. Just like a steak. So, what?
Got that slicer.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't mean that thin. I just mean when you do flank steak and you do small pieces for fajitas, that's what they were saying. I'm making Canadian jokes. I don't really know. Never cooked goose. Yeah, no, I know. Maple, I got you. I saw the Tim Hortons thing, and I was like, do they even make a brine for Tim Hortons? Never eaten goose. So, yeah.
Well, that sounds like a very good reason for y'all to load up, come visit, and then we'll all decide together, like the family that we are, whether or not we like it.
Yeah. So, I'm going to try a couple different, we've got 22 breasts. And when I tell you that one will probably feed all of us, because when I tell you, they are that big. They're massive.
You should go get one.
It's gonna smell. Well, I guess it won't smell bad. It just smell like meat. It's a shame we don't. You know what we should do? We should just knock these windows out and make them doors to go straight out onto the porch. Because that would be so much easier to go just straight out. I know it would be a security nightmare, but That would be very cool.
No, what we need to do
Is just burn the house down.
is
You
just
did not hear
light
that.
the house on fire. I can't get you to make a decision about what you want to put on the walls in the bathroom. And now you want me to make a decision.
I know.
I love you.
I
You know, I love you with everything I got.
But I'm telling you, that would be amazing. Anyway, crock pot goose. So yeah, I've heard a couple of things. One is reverse searing, where most of the time you sear it and then you cook it. But on the goose, they say suggesting a secure. Yeah, I know, right? I know. That's what I was just thinking. I just saw Project Fatigue. So what I've heard with the goose breast is that you cook it low and slow, and then at the last minute, you go ahead and sear it to give it that crispy texture at the end. So it's called a reverse sear. I put a lot of effort into this last night, and you're just looking at me like, just put it in the oven. It'll be
wrap
fine.
it in bacon.
It's not. Yes, sous vide would work. I did read that.
You know.
I don't have one, but I've heard or read is the right word, not heard, because I didn't listen to anything, but I read several places where the recipes were interchangeable, that you could either do like a slow cook or you could do the sous vide.
You know, I wonder if Pioneer Woman has a good recipe for it.
I bet she does.
We'll probably need to look at that.
Mm-hmm. I remember one year my dad and his hunting buddy went goose hunting and no one knew how to cook it. I can still hear my dad exclaiming how fatty the meat was. We ended up eating burgers for dinner. So yes, I will say this. So as the homesteader who butchers and cleans out and eviscerates all the chickens, I was tasked with eviscerating. And there are several takeaways that I took from this. One, yes, they are very fatty.
Canadian geese need Jenny Craig.
They are very fatty. But let's just think about the biology of the animal. They have to be in the water in freezing temperatures. So they're no different than the beaver. The beaver, they've got, they're going to have that layer of fat. And when I tell you the area like around what you would think of as leaf lard, they have. Like all around their kidneys and stuff, there is just gobs of fat. Now, I did pull that out. I don't know if the girls saved it last night or if they just got frustrated and tossed everything. But I did have that set off in a bowl. I was going to try and render it and see what came of it. And then the other thing...
That would have been a honking good time.
Like a lead balloon. So the other thing I noticed is so when you're doing a chicken, right by their little beak, they've got a crop, right, where you can clean out, and that's where they grind all their food, and then it goes into, and then you've got the gizzard, right, and the gizzard does what it does. So I was like, well, geese are a little bit different than chickens. Do they have a crop? No, they don't. You don't see one. And I will tell you, when I was cleaning out, even the geese in Canada come to America, they definitely have to be fat to fit in. That's funny. So around where their neck is, and you go to clean out the trachea and the esophagus. Usually the trachea on a chicken will just pull right out. If you get it right, it pulls right out. With the Canadian goose, it's almost like it was, fused. It was almost like it was fused to what would be like considered like our collarbone. It was almost like there was a piece that was connecting that. So it was a little bit different than a chicken. The other thing was the gizzard. With a chicken gizzard, you hold it and you cut it long ways on the, there's like an area that you cut it, open it up, and it's good to go. You clean it out. With the goose, instead of cutting it long ways like that, you had to cut it through the middle. And when I peeled it open, like you literally have to cut it almost in two. And when I flipped it open, where there's normally that membrane that the chicken has on the gizzard, there was actually like these little plates. You remember I pulled them out? So there's like these little like removable plates that were in there as well, like bone almost, like like a seashell bone. Yeah, it was almost like a scapula. It was really strange. So imagine.
Why did you just look at me like you were surprised that I knew what a scapula was?
No, I was thinking, wow, I didn't even think about it being like a scapula. But imagine the surprise when I'm going to flip out this gizzard, and at first I'm like, wait, I didn't cut it the right way. So then I'm flipping it and I open it up, and like I go to clean it and my thumb just goes, and this thing just like flies, and I was, oh, I broke it. What did I do? And I realized that it was, the goose was not still alive, and I didn't hurt the goose. Well, Odessa did that last night. She was actively butchering this goose, and she did something, and she was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, what? She's like, I hope I didn't hurt the goose. I'm like, Odessa, he's missing an eye. He's not hurt. He's dead. Anyway. But it was a very interesting experience. Being able to clean out, and you get to see that the Why did she stop?
Who?
I think she's in heat.
Who? Yeah, we got to get
Louise. I think Louise.
What's his name?
But
what is
Bucky.
His name? Bucky.
But yeah, it was very interesting to see some of the similarities, but then to also see a lot of the differences. And
they had the same designer.
Right. So that was what I was thinking, is like God created the bird, but then each bird is just a little bit different. So, but I think it was very interesting to me that the trachea thing really kind of wigged me out a little bit, because I was expecting to be able to pull the lungs and just pull it straight through, and it just was not going anywhere. And it was like, it reminded me of your tube on your CPAP machine. It was that tough. So you imagine them honking, I wonder.
There goes me wearing that machine again for a while.
Whatever. That doesn't even come into contact with you, so I don't even know why you would think that. So, but anyway, we wanted to come on here just to kind of say hi, show you his face, because if any of you saw, I didn't post in the Big Bear Nation. I posted on my personal page. We had to take Jason to the hospital. If you saw our last vlog, you'll know what I'm talking about. But we just wanted to pop on here so everybody could see that we're tired, but still alive.
And on really good drugs.
I wouldn't say they weren't really good.
They weren't really good the first couple days, but now they're halfway decent.
Yeah. So basically, he had some swelling that they had to bring down with some prednisone.
I don't know what I did. I could have turned wrong on the tractor, picked something up wrong or whatever, but right back through here, I can deal
cancel
with the normal pain that I have.
Hey, TJ.
And but it was this one was different. It was like it was almost going off with the rhythm of my heart, that every time I would, your pulse would go. It was like I was getting punched, but with a knife, like right back in here.
He felt like he was being stabbed.
And it would make, sometimes my legs would jump, sometimes my hands would just open up, and I would throw things, not really throw things, but drop things, toss things, because my hands would just be like whoosh. It didn't matter if it was a glass of tea, my cross, video game remote, TV remote, tools, whatever. And so that was getting extremely annoying. And I tried to toughen it out the whole, what was it, Thursday, all day Thursday. But come late at night, I got outvoted.
Well, so the full story is around 7. Jason messages me and tells me his neck is hurting. And now it had been hurting, and we've been fighting it hurting for a couple of days. But not this stabbing thing. The stabbing thing was new. And so I said to him, well, let me get home, and I will take you to the emergency room. Let's just go get it done. And his words to me were, it's just nerve pain. I don't need to go to the emergency room.
Well,
and so I was like, okay, I've said my piece. When you're done and you're not feeling so good, then we'll go to the emergency room if it's needed. If it's not, then fine. That's been my answer lately is I'll throw it out there, and if you say it's not time yet, then we don't go. But the offer is there. So that's what I did. I put the offer out there. You pulled it back? No, we're not going. Okay, cool. So I get home. We ate extremely late that night because something happened with the crock pot or the pressure cooker or whatever. And so we were eating a little late. Well, after dinner, you were just still miserable, right? It was getting worse from what I could gather. The frequency was getting
picking up
quicker and a lot closer. And all you women can get mad, but this is how he explained it. He said, I imagine this is what it's like when a woman is having contractions. Now, he's not talking necessarily about the pain per se. He was talking more about the frequency and them amping up and getting hard and feeling like you're knocking your teeth out.
No, I always equivocate like labor pains is probably as equal about when a man gets a cold.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's about right there, but the frequency of the of this was kind of,
it was getting,
you would just get to, I would just get to the point where I was kind of like, okay, it's done, I made it through, I can breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would be like, no, pow.
Yeah. And there was no indication it was happening. What I was telling, because a couple people at church were asking me this, imagine the red and the black on the battery cables. You want them to stay apart, right? When they get together, they spark. And so what I imagine is going on with your neck was the positives and the negatives were touching. They're not supposed to touch. They're supposed to run side by side, and instead they're touching. And so you were getting that jolt every time it would touch. And so no matter which way you turned or no matter what you did, it was close enough, that inflammation was pushing down hard enough that it was just zapping him. And and so I looked at him and I said, okay, well we can try, because I had already given him, I'd already put the Voltaren on your neck, and that wasn't helping. Which is, anyway, so I put that on. It's an NSAID. And so that wasn't working. And you asked if you could have ibuprofen. I'm like, I can't give you ibuprofen because you already had, we can't double up on stuff. So I was like, look, let's do this. Let's try to just go to sleep. I tried to dose you with some lavender and, try to get you to lay down. Maybe if we could get you laid down, you'd get tired enough, you'd go to sleep. Well, after about 15 minutes of him, like, jumping every time it would kick, I was like, this isn't happening. It's not working. So I turned the light on, and I, like, grabbed his pants, and I tossed them. I grabbed his socks, tossed them at him, grabbed his shirt, I was like, get dressed. And you're like, where are we going? I'm like, we're going to Augusta. He's like, it's too late. I'm like, Jason, we can either do this right now, or you can fuss for an hour with me, and then we get back an hour later than if we leave now. I will really be mad because we will have almost been there by now. And he's like, okay. So we went ahead and we put on clothes, got in the car. And I'm glad we did that for a couple reasons. One, we went to our local ER and it's not great. But two, they don't have access to his medical records like the VA does. I mean, if I signed waivers and did all this stuff, they would, but they don't have it right at their fingertips. By going to the VA, before the doctor even came in the room, they knew that it was they knew that it had to do with something that was service connected, so it would be in his files. So the doctor looked at it, came in, and he's put his hands on him, did a couple of different things. He said, "How does this feel?" And Jason said, "It feels." He said, "It feels like if you push there again, I'm gonna punch you in the throat." And the doctor, this is the first time I've ever seen a doctor give it right back to him and not joke, it wasn't ugly, it wasn't a joke, it was just very straightforward. He was like, "Let's not punch me in the throat." And that was it. There was no it wasn't.
Let's not poke there.
Yeah, and that was exactly, he's like, "Well, let's just not poke there." We're both alpha dogs here, and we're both letting each other know that we both need to respect each other's space, because that's what's happening here. So, the only thing that I was two things. We were really blessed that about a month and a half ago, you just had an MRI done on your neck. So it was fairly recent enough for him to look at it to kind of know what was going on and to be able to say, this is the only way we can really fix this. Short of, cutting your neck open and rearranging some stuff, this is how this is going to work. So he told us that the heavy lifting would be done by the prednisone, and then he would give him some pain medicine and muscle relaxers to carry him through until the prednisone started working. Now, the reason I know that his diagnosis and all of that stuff was correct is because when Jason got home, or actually even before that, we went and got something to eat.
Waffle House at 3 o'clock in the morning, boy.
I completely skipped over the pharmacy story.
But we don't have to share everything. There are some things that we probably just need to leave between us. Or are you talking about me farting in the window because they're taking so long?
So it's 3 o'clock in the morning at the pharmacy, and there's really not a pharmacy. They're doing so much renovation, it's literally just a window, and you have a phone that you could call back there. It took them over a minute to answer the phone. I was about to hang up and just start banging on the door. They finally answered. Told us to sit down. 30 minutes later, there's nobody else there. Why it took so long, I don't know, but it's 30 minutes. So we're sitting there, and Jason is you can imagine at this point he's really getting frustrated because they didn't give him anything.
Well, they did exactly
in the room.
They did exactly what I told you they were going to do. They were just going to say, "Oh, it's connected to this. There's nothing that we can do. Here, take this. We're going to give you some strong pain meds." Boom. But
at the end of the day, it's what you needed.
It got documented.
No, it's what you needed because, and this is after we get through the pharmacy story, I'll tell you why. So with the pharmacy, we're sitting there waiting, and he's just pacing because he's getting frustrated. He's hurting because they did not give him anything while we were in the room. They didn't give him any pain medication. They didn't give him a beginning start of a steroid. Nothing at all. So we've waited the whole time we're there, plus we're now 30 minutes in on the pharmacy, and he's walking and he's pacing, trying to keep himself busy. And
I already... And look, I had a little bit of a gas problem going on too. I was a little gassy.
He's a gassy baby.
And so I was trying not to rattle the windows by sitting in those leather chairs and bring all kinds of attention to myself. So they have this window.
It's like a
there,
bank teller window,
but they
like the
had
old style ones.
They had the opening in the bottom
Mhm.
where they could slide stuff through, and it just happens to be that it's right there at that height.
It's Jason's butt height.
And it's just a coincidence that as I was making my laps, I just became gassy at that spot.
No, he was like, I'm tired of waiting. Like right in the window.
And I couldn't control it, and the gas just happened to relieve from my body.
And wouldn't you know, like 2 minutes later, she's coming out with the bag. Gas.
Biological warfare it's covered
It's a
underneath
thing.
the Geneva Convention.
Oh, so that was quite funny. But so we went and got something to eat because he couldn't take any of the stuff without eating first. So we went and had Waffle House, which that was funny too. Pretty sure she was smoking pot outside and then came inside and cooked our food. Those were some of the best hash browns we ever had. And so then we start heading towards the house. He's taking his pills. We've got an hour and a half ride. And Willowbrook, yeah, we did.
There was no way
don't butcher more. You wouldn't want to have been.
You wouldn't have been able to get here in time, buddy. We had a very short window. I was thinking about you though. The whole time I was cutting.
So we start getting down the road, and the pills are just they're not doing anything. And he's just getting like more and more irritated. And they had told us not to take the prednisone, Lost Dude, because prednisone is a steroid, and steroids typically keep you awake. So you're supposed to take a steroid first thing in the morning. Well, I looked at Jason, and we were still probably almost an hour from the house. And I said, is the pills even starting to work? And he's like, no. And normally I know the pills that he was taking, he's taken them before, so I know about how long they take to kick in, and they had not. Oh, and that was the other thing. I had given you a muscle relaxer before we left the house, and it wasn't working. That was why we went to the emergency room, because when I gave you the muscle relaxer and it didn't even touch it, I was like, we're dealing with something big here.
So what you're just telling everybody is that I'm an extremely lightweight when it comes to...
Yeah, because you don't take them often. So that was the thing, is we got on the road and it was just not working. And I finally looked at him and I said, I'm giving you the steroid. I know they're saying that it's supposed to keep you awake, but at this point, you're already awake and you're miserable. If this even brings down the inflammation just enough to let the other stuff work, your body's going to take over. You have to be exhausted. It is now, you've been up, almost a full day now. And with that amount of pain, any one of y'all that in the chat that have had pain like this before, it takes a lot out of you. Like, it's exhausting dealing with it. So I knew he would fall asleep. So I gave him the prednisone, and I don't think I made it 10 miles. And he was snoring, and I was like, praise God. That was a blessing. So I turned on some music, and I drove exactly the speed limit so that you would get some sleep in the car. I was taking it slow, getting back to the house. So we get into town, and you can't convince me otherwise that this was God. We get into town.
God was protecting us all the way around that night.
And Jason had just woken up, because the whole trip literally is like 3 turns. Like the whole hour and a half is like turn, straight forever, turn. Like that's it. So your body obviously was used to that straight pattern. So when I turned, it jolted you up. Yeah, it jolted you awake. I was not going Mach 2. And so he wakes up. Well, we're driving, and this jerk in front of me, or behind me, zooms in front of me. And I'm like, whatever, just go. And about that time, he had just gone up ahead, and I saw 2 deer coming from the shoulder. And so I immediately hit my brakes because they were booking it. Like they were coming and I knew I was going to end up hitting one. And so I hit my brakes. Well, right around that time, the one leapt over the car, like almost like the Impala insignia for like, you know, like a Chevy Impala. Like that's what he looked like. And like he's in full like reindeer mode, like, you know, flying reindeer mode. He was like straight in the air. The other one on this side, and again, because I realized this guy was out of my way and I didn't need to focus on him anymore, I was paying a little bit more attention to this side to make sure he didn't jump out in front of the road. And I watched him kind of like back up a little bit, backpedal. And so I'm like, okay, everything's good. And about that time, we heard like, bam! And I was like, did we get hit? And I didn't feel that anything like impact the car. And it occurred to me that there was an 18-wheeler coming this way. And when I tell you, he probably exploded that deer.
I just don't know how we didn't even get any of the...
I don't know. And I told you the next day...
God's protective bubble was around us because there was not even any blood or remnants from that deer on the car at all. And there is no... You can't convince me otherwise that he didn't hit that deer. And he was probably doing 50,
He was probably going 50, 55 around that corner.
And that deer was in full run. I mean, she was stretched out all the way. Because she skimmed right over the hood of
the car.
The car, and you heard it.
It was awful. Like I've never heard something so. It was so bad. And then that deer went that way. And when I tell you, as soon as I realized that we were good, I was like, "Thank you, God, for protecting us from that," because I know darn well we could have died. Like, thank you.
she was a big girl.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was.
She wasn't big bone. She was a big girl.
No, it was a big deer, and so we get back to the house. I'm a little shaken, but we get back to the house.
But you weren't stirred.
No. And Jason's hilarious when he's on painkillers because he didn't know. We got out of the car, and I'm trying to make sure he's steady to get to the house. And he starts walking. He starts walking, and he's like,
my legs felt funny, okay?
He's like stepping, his high stepping, like really high stepping. And I was like, Jason, are you okay? He's like, yeah, my legs just feel weird. I'm like, let's get you to bed, honey. So we got him into bed and he slept good. The bad part about that was that I should have gone and gotten feed the day before. Something told me I needed to go get feed the day before, but I didn't. And this is why, because the next morning we had to get feed before we could feed anybody. And so I didn't get into the bed.
You like what?
Like he was on anesthesia the last time, backwards in the car. No, he was passed out in the car. When we got, maybe that part wasn't just a fart. But yeah, so we got up, got everything moving, went and got feed, and when I tell you I had maybe an hour and a half worth of sleep. It was rough. But then we did that, and it was enough. I had enough of a nap to be able to go do what I needed to do, and then I came back and I crashed for a couple hours. And so we've been playing sleep catch up all weekend. So between sleep and having to butcher 11 Canadian geese, been a very exhausting weekend, so I'm hoping for a little less excitement this week. What?
I'm just thinking.
About? About?
Just church today, that's all.
Oh. Yeah. So, he was marching. That's almost what it looked like, TJ. Like, it really, like, I was thinking, I was thinking it was going to be a thing. Yeah, you know, Kim, that's sometimes it's pretty funny when you're doing video content. And I was going to put out something totally different about the cold and the rain and everything that was going on. And when that happened, I was like, I really didn't have the energy to do a whole lot of editing. And so I was like, I'm just going to go out here. I got to get this Swiss chard planted. So we just set up the camera and I just planted Swiss chard while I told everybody what was going on. So we do have a full bed, one of those aquaponics beds full of Swiss chard, and they're doing great. I went out there to check on them today, and so far so good. The turkeys don't know they exist.
Those turkeys ain't got much longer anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna butcher them this week. I think we're gonna get rid of them.
As soon as we pull the geese out, we'll clean it out, and then we'll do those last two turkeys. I'm thinking.
Oh gosh, there you go. Think it again.
That I may take the breasts from one of those turkeys and put it in my formed ham mold and see if I can make turkey lunch meat like I did with the pork and how I can make ham.
I'm just concerned.
I think I would have to boil it longer and have to come up to a different temperature.
I'm just worried that it being a trial thing and we only have those two birds, that is it a calculated risk? Because if it turns out bad.
Are you gonna take my dreams from me?
No, I'm just saying
trying to crush my dreams?
Maybe we should buy some turkey breast from the store or whatever and let you, or chicken breast from the store, let you try it just to see if it works first. Y'all are gonna have birds for days. Yeah, there's a lot of meat in there.
So basically what you're saying is you don't have any faith.
It's not about faith. I just know what happened with the formed ham.
The formed ham was good. It just looked ugly.
Well, no, it wasn't even that. It didn't keep long. Like, when I tell you...
It didn't keep long because everybody ate it.
No, it's spoiled. And I'm not sure how. Because it makes me wonder what they put in lunch meat to preserve it so that it doesn't do what ours did. Because ours cured properly. It did what it was supposed to do. We cooked it, but it got stuck in the back of the refrigerator for like a week, less than a week, and it was not good. So yes, we did eat a good portion of it, but the little bit that was left did not keep very well.
I wonder maybe I had a lot of air pockets in that one.
Possible.
So maybe a lot of the meat didn't. I don't know. I mixed that really, really well.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe there was something to do with the air pockets on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know that so that's what I'm concerned about, is that if we make it and then it doesn't get eaten quickly and it spoils, like would it be a waste? How long have you been married? A wife's job is to crush your dreams. No. So.
We've been married 18 wonderful.
Almost 19.
Wonderful years.
Yep. We're getting close to 20. It's coming up.
Yeah. She's my Lois Lane.
I'd rather my food go bad than right. So there is that. That's what I was saying. Like, it really did make me wonder, like, what kind of formaldehyde stuff are we talking? They're putting in this stuff, this processed meat. Like,
I really do think it was because of the air pockets and that it just didn't.
Yeah. So I guess my thing is like, I wouldn't have a problem doing it if we knew that it wasn't going to spoil so quickly.
Here's the thing. We're going to be doing the ham this week. We're going to start the process for the ham this week again.
Yeah.
And Duncan kind of redid his video after mine. I don't know if he saw mine, but it was really cool that it seemed like a lot of my questions got answered and done different ways, of different suggestions that even came up in the comments with that one. And so we're going to give it another go. And I'm going to go by the little changey things that he said. not focus so much on trying to get each chunk that 3/4
Yeah, he said to
thickness
make a
and
couple different sizes so you'd have the little
yeah.
ones to
And
fill
then
in
make sure
the
that I
pockets.
really pack it in there really,
Mhm.
really good and give it a go.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
we'll see again, you know. I'm still learning this. I'm not a I'm not a butcher connoisseur or a deli maker connoisseur yet. Um, but I'm enjoying it and I'm having fun doing it. And, you know, I like sandwiches without the bread now. But, you know, I like lunch meat. And so I don't like, to me, maybe it's I'm gotten older and my taste buds have matured or something, but today's lunch meat does not taste anything like the lunch meat that I remember when I was a kid. And so,
Or it's so expensive you can't even really afford.
yeah, and then it's overpriced.
Yeah.
And it's just, it tastes more like, I don't want to be gross, but more like plastic.
Rubber.
Yeah. Than meat.
Hey, Niana.
And I miss the hams, the pepperonis, the roast beef, the salami, the lemon and bologna, all those kinds of things that I had growing up as a kid. I mean,
Well,
really
but let's
enjoyable.
be fair. You lived up in Pennsylvania where delis were like on every corner and twice in the middle of the block. So, you know, it's totally different.
It's one of those that it's just, you know, it was good eating. And and I think I can mimic that.
Do we ever make turkey brats or sausage? Not yet.
It's on the way.
Yeah. One of the things Jason wants to do is he wants to make hot dogs. I'm not crazy about store-bought all beef hot dogs. I know it sounds funny, but I'm not a snob when it comes to because it's hot dogs. But the beef just, I don't like the texture. And so he was going to try and make some beef hot dogs to see if I liked them.
Yeah, and then I'm going to make you some all pork hot dogs too, because
I like the pork and chicken hot dogs. So,
now see, I don't. We when we ground it, is that a word? When we
ground
grounded,
up.
when we
ground.
when we grounded, or no ground when we ground up the chicken. I didn't like it. I did not like because Carol wanted to do, she wanted to experiment, do some ground, kind of like how we take, we'll take a hamburger patty and then take like a cup or something, and we cut out the center of it, and then we fill that center with pork. Have like a pork burger kind of thing with some Worcestershire sauce and.
What's your sister?
And and some onion, garlic powder, and stuff like that, and it's really good. And so she wanted to do that with chicken, and to me it was just, it was the texture of it, I think, for me. So.
Well, and that makes me wonder if the texture of the chicken wasn't great. What's the like when you?
Well, see, I think with her, she only ran that chicken through the coarse grinder. She didn't even take it down through the fine grinder. So that might be where the difference is. When you're making a hot dog, you kind of almost, at least from everybody I watch, Duncan, Bearded Butchers, all those guys that do it for a living.
Like they puree it almost, right?
They get some hardcore protein extraction when they're doing the hot dogs. And it becomes almost like a mud pie
paste,
a paste kind of thing, and then they jam that thing in the casing with their sausage stuffer, and so that may eliminate that should, well, that has no choice but to eliminate that texture thing, because it's all kind of like a paste. And how there is literally a specific machine for hot dog making. you run your meats through the grinder down to your fine grind, and then you put it in this. And Duncan has it, and he said the name of it, and I don't remember it because I was like, well, then I'll never make hot dogs. He said, but then you could do this with a food processor.
Food processor.
And I'm like, okay, I'm back engaged. Because like, yeah, I don't have to buy the stupid expensive machine. And so it pretty much just really does a hardcore protein extraction and makes that stuff paste. So it eliminates any of that texture stuff to it. So
Tinker's wife said that Heidi from Rain Country has a turkey pepperoni recipe she makes. Wonder if it would work for the goose. I don't know. We can. I mean, we've got enough goose meat that I think we'll be able to try some stuff to see. I think we should probably consider the jerky. Maybe soak it in a good marinade, like some Dales or something, and do that, dehydrate it, and see if it's any good that way. But we'll definitely do a video on whatever we decide to do with it.
Just to be able to, if you've never seen Canadian geese meat,
it's like steak.
Yeah.
It looks like a steak.
Or a beet. It's bright red.
Yeah, I mean the
Beet
color
red.
looks just like I don't want to bring one in here because they're pretty beat up from us trying to figure out how to.
And like this one around. I have to go.
From trying to skin them, and then of course they were shot, so some of them have some like shot pox on them from when they blood. So there was one that when I was gutting it, there was like just blood clots. It was pretty gross. So, but yeah, we cleaned out the livers and the kidneys and the gizzards, and I'm hoping to be able to give those to the dogs if the girls didn't just toss them out. I know they took the carcasses back to our bone pile, so that I didn't even think about that because he raises geese for eating. So I'll ask him. I'm sure his geese, it's going to be different than a wild goose because like I was saying earlier, it's not so much that I'm worried with the flavor as I am how old they are. I'm wanting them to be tender. So that's the thing I'm worried about. I'm afraid that we're going to go to chew on them and be chewing on them for a month like it's going to be leather. That's my only concern. So I've been reading a couple things and seeing what suggestions there are out there. And, at the end of the day, if we start to try to eat them and they're not great, we'll give them to the dogs. The dogs will happily take them from us. And the reason I know that is because we left a couple of feathers on the floor last night. And we got back from church and we had feathers on our bed. Agatha had licked up some feathers and brought them into the bedroom. So, meat that gets bigger. Meat that gets bigger the longer you chew.
I walked in on this. I had no idea.
I was just saying, like, that's the thing. Like, some of these birds, they're massive. So I have to imagine that they're older, not younger.
Asking Morgan for what recipe?
For a goose recipe, because he raises geese. But what I was saying is I'm not so much concerned about the flavor stuff as I am the toughness. Like, when I read that it's normal for people, it's normal, tough meat gets bigger.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
As you chew it.
Yeah. So it's not so much that I'm concerned about the flavor as much as I am just the toughness, because the articles that I read made a good point that because these birds are wild, they've been on record as being 10, 12, 20 years old,
I don't know if I could go.
And they fly a lot because they migrate, right? They go back and forth. So all of the time they're using those muscles,
Hmm.
you know.
Now, somebody brought up the Meat Eaters Lost Their YouTube
Mhm.
channel. I don't know if I could bring myself to go to their channel. The way that
Who is?
that's that they're a they're a hunting organization, or they support harvesting wild game and
Mhm.
stuff. But they also uh, got that Yahoo that Morgan tangled with, and they just they
Oh.
painted they one they you know oh, I get it. There's two sides to every story, and Morgan does some things sometimes that I don't necessarily agree with. Like, we probably do a lot of things that he doesn't agree with, but he's still my friend, and I just don't. The world's a bad enough place. We don't need to be going at each other like that, and
Mhm.
and I believe that as a pro hunter, trapper, outdoorsman, a conservationalist, I side with Morgan
Mhm.
on this subject because um, my rights as a hunter, trapper, conservationalist end at his property line, and his
Mhm.
private property rights begin.
Mhm.
I demand that people respect um, my property rights
Mhm.
when it comes here.
We've had
And
some issues with
and
that. Yeah.
I mean, we've recently had some issues. We brought it up to the landowner, and it got squashed
Like quick,
quick,
but
fast,
yeah.
and in a hurry. But you know, that guy, and I told Morgan this. That guy, what was his name, Butch or whatever.
Butch.
He gives people like me, people
A
who
bad
hunt with
name.
respect, people
Yeah.
who trap with respect, people who do it for the right reasons and respect other people's property and stuff. He gives us all a bad name. I don't care. We ran into that issue when we first moved here. People thought that they could just come driving down the property and go fishing in the pond because they were doing it for oodles and oodles of years. And if they would have came with a little bit more respect, I probably would have let them. But at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. You have to respect people. We have to respect one another. We've got to understand that um, we all have our quirks. We all have our own personal issues, but some of us work really, really hard to get um, where we are.
Mhm.
And a lot of us, we wouldn't, we don't mind if you want to come fish and stuff. Just show us a little common respect. Ask. Don't just automatically assume.
Lost Dude says using dogs to hunt isn't hunting, in my humble opinion.
No, I don't. Look, I'm all for using a dog for rabbits because you can't get into the spot where the rabbits can go.
Raccoon.
Coons, uh, but anything else, I really, and it's big in South Carolina, at least in the lower part of the state. Down in the
Yep.
bottom part of South Carolina, running deer with dogs. I mean, I think that's all they know how to hunt deer down there.
Well, don't they
But
do them with hogs too?
yeah, and hogs.
Mhm.
A lot of guys do it with hogs.
Yep.
Um, but everybody has their own. Just because I don't necessarily agree with it doesn't mean I get to uh,
Tell somebody else.
somebody else
Yeah.
what to do. Um, that might be the only way they know. They don't.
Mhm.
They weren't raised up
Taught
to,
any other way.
to still hunt and have
Right.
the sport in it. A lot of people out there for the thrill of the kill now, and
Mhm.
they just take any old shot. I think sometimes people don't have the patience to teach our youth to be patient with that shot to make sure you get that kill shot so that animal doesn't suffer. Um,
Yep.
it's God put these animals on here for us to eat, but He also gave us dominion over them and over everything, the plants, the animals of the sea, the animals on the planet, the cows, everybody. He gave us dominion over it, and it's our responsibility as stewards of this planet to take care of it in a respectful way, in the proper way, that that to help keep that balance, that God's perfect balance, because you know, animals, they don't how to say this, they don't know anything about birth control, and so they have really 3-4 things on their mind: staying alive, eating, drinking, and procreating. That's really all they think about. Like, why is it? There's a reason why deer hunting gets very popular, and more deer are harvested during a certain time of the year, and that's called the rut. And that's because the boy deer, the bucks, they have one thing on their mind,
and that's it.
That's making their bloodline continue on, and they will run themselves till their hearts explode chasing it. I mean, there's been many different times it's been documented that 2 male deer get tangled up in their antlers, and they both die because they're fighting over this one area where this one female doe is, that's in and she's ready to breed. And so
Estrus.
when we have, like this year in Georgia, our deer population is real high.
It's gotta be. I mean, I'm as many as I've seen on the roads. Like, it's more than normal, and it's all this area.
We're starting to catch up with South Carolina. South Carolina has a tremendous high deer population.
Yes.
They open up their deer season on August 15th, and I think they even go longer than us. And in certain parts of the state, they don't have sex days.
Oh, sex days. Well, we didn't this year.
And so this year, they extended our season.
Yep.
And they took away the sex days.
Yeah.
And so in its order to keep that population in check, you know, some people want to put on tinfoil hats and say, oh, they're just trying to, it's all about the money, so they want to get more from people's hunting license and everything. And yet, yes, that happens. More people buy hunting license, they raise more money through that, and they get to tax more different things. Yes, that's undeniable. But at the end of the day, they are literally, these biologists and whatnot, they're looking at the population, studying the population, and they realized, ooh,
got a little out of control.
We got a little out of control. We haven't had as many hunters.
Yep.
And so we need to do something to try to lower this population before disease and stuff comes in. And that's where, you know, we have this, right now there's this disease in the white-tailed deer. I'm having a brain cramp of what it's called. If Wes is still in here, he'll know what it is. I can't think of it. Can't think about what it's called, but it's running rampant. And when your animal population outgrows its natural food source, then just like us, their immune system gets weaker. And waste disease, that's right, it came at the same time. And they get susceptible to this stuff, and then you have that waste disease go on the rise.
Lost dude said.
And what did Lost dude say?
He said,
chronic waste disease.
Chronic waste. It says he remembers growing up in Indiana. He can remember deer starving to death in the middle of the summer due to overpopulation in a state park.
Yeah, and so we have a responsibility to make sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen. I don't know what got me on that rampant, but
I don't know, but we need to wind it up. Mama's getting tired again. Yeah. I'm still catching up on sleep. I'm hoping tonight I'll be able to get my deficit back in check.
I don't
'Cause
think
I've
you
been
ever really catch up
tired.
on it. I think your body just reaches a point where it just kind of resets. I don't know if you can ever really catch back up on
Well, you know what I mean? Because I'm tired. I'm very tired. So, we're glad you guys all came to come chat with us and visit with us.
it. And you guys saw the video that dropped today about cutting the pork down into primals.
Mm-hmm.
Next Sunday's video, it's already been shot. Robin's working on the edit. I think you guys are really, really going to enjoy that video.
The primal one was really good. If you haven't seen that, you should really go check it out. They did a really good job of getting like tights and stuff of everything that's going on.
You know, in Sunday school, we've been talking about pride, humility, and how it's okay to be proud of something, but you know we have to do our best to stay humble with it. And I am really proud of the way my pork chops turned out, the way that they look this time, and they taste.
They were really good last night.
Phenomenal.
I had some pork chops last night. They're like almost an inch thick, and they were fairly decent size. So
and they were
good.
They turned out really good.
Yeah.
So very, very, very.
So that'll come out next Sunday. You'll get to see it go from primals down into specific cuts. So definitely be looking out for that. We've got a couple other videos planned for this week, so hopefully.
Members, be on the lookout for, like, I created that little Facebook thing for the paying members, and so be on the lookout, because we're not going to be able to do an after show tonight, but we may pop on somewhere
As for a recipe.
In the middle of this week, just for our members, to kind of have the after show in the middle of this week. But we are kind of dragging, and we apologize. But we had some curveballs thrown at us this week with having to make that crazy trip down to the VA hospital. But
is there a recipe? Is he talking about the pork chops? It wasn't anything about the I'd be interested in seeing videos of you guys cooking what you raised. We can do that. We just gotta do it. Our lighting in our kitchen is not great, so it's kind of hard to get a good shot.
Bring these in.
It's kind of hard to get a good, clear shot.
And I'll be honest with y'all, we're not some crazy chefs. We like simple stuff. Little lemon pepper, little garlic powder.
Yeah, I mean, like those pork chops yesterday, I just put some paprika, some garlic powder, salt and pepper. That was it. Yeah. So, but all right, guys, we love y'all. We we'll be on.
Yeah, so members be looking for a members only live stream.
Sometime later this week.
Sometime later this week, and I'll make up for the after show for tonight. And the rest of you guys, be on the lookout for. We should have 3 videos coming out this week, plus the shorts. Mm-hmm. If you guys have any suggestions and stuff, like wanting to see us cook the stuff we make, stuff like that, you guys go ahead and shoot us an email, and we can.
He's still on you about the bat house. It's been how many years?
I can't believe he missed that video that I put out about it.
You did not put out a bat house. Nice try.
It was incognito.
Incognito, yeah. So
I'm gonna have to put one together when I get power back out to my shop.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna call it the Lost Bat House.
There you go. All right, y'all. Good night. We love y'all, and we'll see y'all soon.
God bless.
God bless you.